Hi, Jake. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for talking to us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. The pleasure's mine.
So my name is Anna. I'm from Guatemala, and I represent El País de los Jóvenes, which roughly translates to the country of the youth.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of context about our media, we are a digital form online news media. We are focused on the younger generation, and we give them news, information, events, tips, and we do all this in a positive manner. So we're very excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much. The world needs more of that. So thank you. Thank you for doing
that. Especially right now.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So I want to start off by, first of all, congratulating you on the outpost. It has been crazy and we are obsessed.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you so much. It's been such a fun ride. It's been the best.
No problem. And I want to talk about a little bit of, I guess, when you start participating in a series as an actor, you read the script, you analyze a character, you kind of shape it. And I'm guessing there's always a little bit of expectation about how the audience is going to receive the character and the series. But now with the success, I wonder, how do you feel with the results of the outpost so far?
It's been great. It's been so great. It's I mean, for the show, for any show to not only create, find existence and create one season, but to then go for 4 seasons, that alone is a feat in and of itself. Of which I don't know how much credit I can take, but I'm so glad that the creators were able to do it. And I'm glad that they kept me and didn't kill me off, because it's been so much fun. And I love this genre, and I love getting to play a knight, and in the show getting to use a different accent and talk like this and wear a sword on my belt and ride horses and is like, it's literally a dream come true. And so there was a lot of like, okay, it's, for season 1, I was like, okay, it's 10 episodes. Okay, where's he gonna go? Where does he start? What needs to happen? And I think all of us with any show, really, when even our favorite shows, when you go back and you look at the first season, I think you can see people finding out who they are a little bit, because you do the best you can, but shows have to move so quickly. And so I think we all had a pretty good grasp, but then by season 2, you could really see us all fall into it more. And then season 3 and 4. And at this point now, it's like I've spent more time as Garrett than I have as Jake, which for me, I actually love, because I love those worlds, and I love the world that they've created for us, and getting to live in that. And because I'm a huge fantasy fan, I'm always reading fantasy books and things like that. But for us to be an original show where there is no source material, it's an original IP, we didn't know where the show was going to go. And I didn't know where Garrett was going to go. So he's been beaten up a lot, and he's had his whole world turned upside down so many times that I feel bad for him. But it's been really fun to join the character for his growth and his journey.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned your character specifically, because I'm guessing there's always a challenge as an actor to kind of convey and put out there what your character is. But in a show like The Outpost, that has been called a Western, a sci-fi story.
Yeah, true.
A revenge persecution also. Like, it's a loaded show. So what are the challenges as an actor for you to convey the emotions of Captain Garrett? Because it's a complex character.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's one of those things where it's all in the writing, and so we're given the script, and it's very rare, and it happened a couple of times, but it's very rare. And when it did happen, it was more in these later seasons, but where something would happen for the character, for one of us, and we'd go to a producer or writer and say, I think this actually goes completely against that part where this happened. For the most part, we haven't had to worry about that. And so rather than rather than focusing on where Garrett will go, which is just a path to madness because I have no idea, because we would get a script 2 weeks ahead of filming it, you know what I mean? And we'd be working on a different one at the time. And so you'd read it on the weekends and go, oh my gosh, okay, it's headed this way. Maybe it's not too late to change a little something of what I'm doing right now. But for the most part, it was impossible to look too far ahead. And so the challenge then became receiving the material and looking at what has happened so far and finding that golden thread that would say, okay, Garrett's acting this way. This is almost a little left field. What have we seen that would justify his behavior this way? And he becomes very impulsive, and he always tries to do the right thing. But I think in this final season, especially, he's willing to get his hands dirty a little bit more, which is the complete opposite of season 1 Garrett. So the fun puzzle for me was just finding the path to navigate and make it all tie together, which hopefully I did. We'll see.
No, I think it did. And I feel like that's also the interesting thing about having a series that goes on for 4 seasons, that you kind of get to see the characters evolve and mature and change a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So talking about this new and last season, we were wondering, what can you tell us about it without any spoilers, of course, and why we cannot miss it?
Well, nothing then. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely don't miss it. Definitely don't miss it, especially if you watched up until this point. And because season 3 ends with just there's so much loss and sacrifice and trying to defeat Yavala and reclaim the outpost and make sure that the world wasn't lost and all of these things. And I think that there was so much heartbreak for probably the characters and hopefully the audience in season 3, that season 4, it goes right into it. It picks up right away. And there's no time to breathe. There's a lot of conflict. And so all of these characters, especially Garrett, is trying to wrap his head around what has just happened and figure out, do we have time to mourn? Do we have time to rebuild? Do we have time to do all of these things? And the audience is going to see, without giving spoilers,
oh God,
there might not be a lot of time. And so it's a very action-packed season. It's a very high stakes, high energy season. And I think that there are some storylines that are brought back in and tied up nicely. And so I hope that fans of the show appreciate the ending and are happy with it, because so often, shows don't have time to adapt and adjust, and it ends in this cliffhanger that doesn't have any resolution.
Yeah,
and I hope that ours does. So let me
I'm
know.
excited.
You'll have to. Yeah.
I'm excited to see the end. I mean, endings are sad, but I feel like it's always a nice way to have a wrap up to the whole story, right?
Yes.
So
100%.
we're excited.
All good things must come to an end.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so since we talked to a lot of young people and a younger generation, we had a lot of questions come in about teens who want to pursue a career in acting. Sure. And we were wondering, what advice can you give them, or any recommendation on becoming an actor? How do you get into series, movies, and all this crazy world?
Oh gosh, that's a conversation I could have for days. So I'll try. I ramble, and I know I've been talking so much, and I apologize. I'll try to keep it concise and give a little bit of advice that I can. The biggest thing is there is no blueprint. There's no one way to do it other than to work hard. And I think that might look different for so many different people. When I first moved to LA, I had a friend who set me up with a lunch with somebody he knew, a voice actor named Rob Paulson. And he's very famous. I think a lot of people will recognize his work. He's, Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and Ninja Turtles and all of these things. And he's like, there's nobody nicer on the planet than Rob. And he had a coffee with me when I first moved to Los Angeles. I hadn't done anything yet. And he said, here's the thing, Jake. In his opinion, and now in my opinion, if you work hard and you really truly want it, everybody will get an opportunity for the most part. You'd have to be very, very unlucky to not get an opportunity. But the difference, and where a lot of people go wrong, is recognizing the opportunity when it comes and then acting on it, because so often you have to act very quickly. And I think a lot of people go with this idea in their mind and this hope and this dream in it, and my opportunity has to look like this, and it has to feel like this, and it has to be this big, and it has to pay this much. And oftentimes that's not the case. The very first thing that I booked was, I moved to LA. I worked 2 jobs every day of the week. And then I was in acting class at night, and I had no money in the bank at the end of each month. And I did this for years. And then booked this independent movie series called Mythica, which is these low budget fantasy movies. And that I kept daisy chaining into other independent, very low paying, very low budget, but super fun movies, and kind of treading water. And then all of a sudden, The Outpost is on TV across the world. And it's a show that went for 4 years. And the creators of The Outpost created the Mythica movies that were the first things I ever booked. So it was almost 10 years later. And somehow they weren't tired of me, and they let me audition, and I worked my way through the ranks of the auditions. But there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just, you have to really, really want it, and you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of other personal things to do it. So be ready for that. And if you see an opportunity, and I feel like your heart always knows, you know what I mean? Like we talk ourselves out of things, but in your gut, in your stomach, you know right and wrong, and you know an opportunity when you see it, and you have to be willing to take that opportunity, not out of desperation, but out of being willing to work and turn it into something else. I know it sounds so silly, and I've rambled now, but I think that would be the most broad brush blanket advice I could give.
No, I love it. I agree. I think it's a combination of hard work and a little bit of faith and gut.
And there is a little luck. Don't get me wrong. There's a little bit of luck, but I think there's less luck than people make excuses for if they're willing to work hard and look for the opportunity that may be outside of their comfort zone or outside of what they thought it would be.
I agree completely. Well, thank you so much for answering our questions and getting to talk to us. And we were just wondering if you could just give a little shout out to our readers, maybe say your name and that you're from The Outpost.
Of course. A shout out to all of you readers. Thank you so much for tuning in, for reading, for watching this, however it ends up. I'm Jake Stormoen from The Outpost, and I can't thank you enough. And keep putting positive light into the world as the young generation, because we need it now more than ever. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jake, for your time. I really enjoyed conversation.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.